times when the Lord seems very distant. There are times when you might feel like, where are you, Lord? I don't hear you. I don't see you. I'm crying out to you. Don't you see the situation I am in? Do you not care? There are times when that will happen in the lives of the believers. There are times when that happens in the lives of the beloved of the Lord, us his children. Such was the case of Esther. You know, today, March the 13th, at sundown, we will celebrate the biblical feast of Purim, and it will end on March the 14th at sundown. And the feast of Purim really does recant the story of Esther and how the Lord delivered them from the hand of the enemy, how the Lord delivered them from Haman. You see, in the time when the Jewish people were in the land of Persia, which is now modern day Iraq, Haman was the prime minister. He was almost, you can say, second in command to the king, and Haman hated the Jewish people. And he had made up his mind after Mordecai refused to bow to him. Mordecai, the uncle of Esther. He had made up his mind that he was going to kill all of the Jewish people. And he had the king even sign to this in a very roundabout, inadvertent way, blaming the Jews for all of the problems in the world. Esther, when she found out, when her uncle told her, Mordecai, fasted and prayed and had people fast and pray with her and went in to see the king. Now, back in that time, even though she was the queen, you couldn't just walk in to see the king. You had to be taken there, you had to be called and summoned for. But Esther took matters into her own hands after praying and put her own life at risk. And that is why she said the famous lines in the book of Esther, if I perish, I perish. She knew that what she did by barging in to see the king, it could have been punishable by law, but she did it. And the king understood what she said, and the Lord moved upon his heart, and the Jewish people were saved. And praise be to God that Haman, or Haman as some would say, he was hung in the very gallows that he set up for Mordecai. And such is the God that we serve, that he is able to turn around any situation, that he is able to take the very thing that the enemy has meant for bad and work it for our good and save us. And you see, the very interesting thing in the book of Esther is that the book of Esther is the only book in the Bible where the name of God is not mentioned. So even though all of this was happening to God's people, to God's children, and he seemed silent, he was there in the background, orchestrating things and working things out. So today, if you might be in that situation where you don't feel like God is hearing, where you feel like he's absent and he's not listening, my advice to you is the same thing I tell myself. When God seems silent, fast and pray. When God seems silent, go deeper even more, cry out even more, plug into him even more. He will answer. He has not left. He is with you, and he will answer, because that is the God that we serve. He longs to hear from us. He longs to have fellowship with us. That's why he sent Jesus, to redeem us, that we could be reconciled to him. Now, today at sundown, there will also be a blood moon. This is the first of 3 blood moons which will be falling on biblical feast days. And I do believe, friends, that the Lord is still speaking in the sun, moon, and stars. You see, when he created the sun, moon, and stars in the book of Genesis, he told us, yes, they were for light, but also that they were for signs and for seasons. And historically, when there have been blood moons falling on biblical feast holidays, there was something great that happened after, whether it was something catastrophic or something wonderful, because God still does speak in the sun, moon, and stars. What is God saying to you today? What is he saying to you today? Pray and ask him, Lord, open my eyes to see you. Lord, open my ears to hear you. Help me to know that you will never leave me, even when I don't feel you with me.